I think when it comes to deal structure or the overall playbook of how we do what we do on a day-to-day basis, when we have a client and we see through this potential project all the way through the end of it, there's three tenets of our success, and I think of any economic developer's success, and that's going to be certainty, simplicity, and speed, right?
Well put.
So, and I think it's important to ask, let me ask and get your thoughts on this. Is a generous incentive package more important to a company than a certain permitting timeline?
A certain permitting timeline is absolutely paramount, because that is the ultimate next step that gets a business back in business or in business if they're in a new area. Incentives are kind of what we call the mint on the pillow.
I like that.
You go to a hotel.
I don't make enough money to go to the hotels where the people on pillows, man.
You go to a hotel and you have two of them side by side, absolutely almost identically the same, maybe owned by the same company, but one hotel leaves a mint on the pillow when they clean your room up. Which one do you remember? Doesn't mean the experience is different or better, but which one do you remember? Mint on the pillow.
I mean, because ultimately we're all selling the same stuff, right? From one community to the next.
A lot of companies can be kind of wherever they want to be. Not all, but with what you just said a minute ago, with the digitization of our economy, there can be anywhere. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this with software companies, for example, in the Austin, Texas area. They don't have to be in San Jose. They don't have to be in Silicon Valley. Frankly, they don't even have to be in Austin if they don't want to, because we've got that connectivity that allows talent to be wherever they physically would like to be. But to touch on your point of incentives, back in the 90s, economic developers throughout the country pushed very aggressively for their elected officials to approve programs, sustainable programs that were heavy on incentives. And really that was because everybody was doing it. Every community was trying to outbid the other community for transactions. And what they effectively started doing, and industry picked up on this. They picked up on this very quickly, that we could get, meaning industry, could get 5 cities literally bidding against each other as if it were an auction. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the best financial package offered by a community was the best thing for the company to do. We saw this with a number of companies you and I dealt with last year that told us stories about how they made deals and settled in several communities throughout the United States because they were good deals. They looked perfect on paper.
Yeah.
Then they realized just because they got a good deal on a community doesn't mean it was good for the company's effectiveness from workforce and logistics perspectives.
Yeah.
And now they're hurting for it. And I don't want to name names, but I mean, it was surprising.
Yeah.
Because you would think that they would have thought through that before taking the good deal, the heavily incentivized transactions. So no, we found that I think this is very smart on behalf of multiple industries across multiple sectors, is that that's almost one of the last things they think of, which I think is the way it should be.
Yeah.
Companies should make their decisions based on what's best for their operation and for the customers that they in turn serve, not necessarily what makes the spreadsheet look good when we present it to the board and to the executive committee of the company.
Because that's a snapshot in time. You're not thinking longevity.
And you and I have seen the deleterious effects on companies that took the good deal, and now that they've got problems because they were too far away from their customer base, or the workforce really wasn't as robust as they thought that it could become. And so that's one of the nice things about the San Angelo market, is that we've got a lot of those components already built in that we just reveal to these companies. And we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, because I think it's important, right? Incentives come in more forms than just a check or an abatement of some kind, right? And we're going to get into some of that.
Speed of delivery and efficiency of the entire development process that far outweighs any kind of tax break that a company might get.
All right, so let me ask you this, especially with what you just said and your previous experience and time as a commercial real estate developer. Why does time kill more deals than money?
Over a period of time, really that has a lot to do with let's say you're dealing with a software manufacturer, a software developer. So you have R&D, software development. They're under massive pressure, serious pressure from competitors who are trying to provide the same service or product, but they're also under serious pressure from their customers. And their customers are pressurizing them to deliver, and they've got to get up, stood up and put in business as quickly as possible. So speed of delivery and a collaborative approach by not just the economic development team, but by the city and by the city permitting departments and by the construction companies, by the site planners, all that plays a huge role in delivering that product to market as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because every month of delay could mean millions in losses.
You could lose your entire book of business.
Right. Plus, I think overall, it's fair to say companies hate uncertainty. They loathe
Markets hate uncertainty.
Yeah.
A lot of people make a lot of money in uncertain markets because they know how to speculate in markets that exhibit wild gyrations. But corporations do not like uncertainty.
So I would say that a company would almost always choose a predictable, fast path to launch over a slightly higher incentive package that comes with, say, open-ended, slow timelines.
100%. We saw that with Amazon.
Yeah.
When we sat down with Amazon and all the members of the different departments at the city, and we laid out a schedule. It had a couple days here and there baked into the schedule because we had to build in some rain delays and things like that. But they knew within about a week and a half's period of time, over a 11-month period, who would be doing what when and who would be approving what when.
And then they know
and they went
specifically reach out to.
And it's exactly right. And a 14-month-long safe margin project was done in 11 months. And Amazon told us that. And they were very impressed by that. So that just goes to show, as an example, what happens when you have a focus on speed of delivery and efficiency. That's absolutely paramount.
I think it's important to say there, it wasn't just speed and certainty, but when we look back at it, and probably from their perspective, it was a relatively simple process. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a difference here. When I say simple, I don't mean easy, but it was relatively simple to get through and, relatively unheard of. 11 months and was up and operating. You recall we were working with their simple process.
We were working with Amazon proper, with the corporation.
Yeah.
But we were also working with their construction department at the same time.
Yep.
And the
on speed dial.
The concerns, that's right. The concerns we heard on a daily basis from their construction department were very intense. And we knew the pressure they were under, and they were very open with us. I would say we became friends with those guys. And so, yes, speed of delivery and efficiency and predictability is absolutely critical.
So,
and a community that can assuredly provide that and has a good reputation of delivering that will almost always win.
There you go. That's it. The other thing that I think is important, aside from the simplicity and the certainty and speed to market, is a term that's been out there, is that talent is the new currency, right?